Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Megan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
How has your week been? How has everything been for you?
Well, it's been a little wild. I've been sick. The streptococcus bacteria had come into my body and disrupted my entire life.
I like that
How
you use like the official name.
I don't think I said it correctly. It's like streptococci or something. Yes. So that really disrupted me. I had to take some sick days and just really lay there and just let my body heal itself. Besides that, it was fine. I was really thinking, like, back in medieval times, like people would die from this. It was great. It was just thinking, a little bit morbid.
Strep is no joke.
Yeah, it really is.
And so how long, I guess you went to the doctor like ASAP, but still, like how long were you down for the count?
I was down for like 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
And then I felt like I had the flu. I mean, my throat's still kind of sore. Still feel a little like icky, but I'm not. Yeah, it was yucky.
No fun at all. Strep is no joke. So that sucks that you had to do that. But you're feeling better now.
I am better for the show. Yes, we're good to go.
Yay!
Yes.
We are officially in May. What?
Yep.
Which means it is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yay.
And it's an exciting time for me because I love talking about mental health or whatever.
Nerd.
But I think it's important that everyone be sharing, posting, talking about resources that benefit you and your journey, and like don't be afraid to talk about your journey with mental health and seeking help when you need it. So 988, I've seen some misinformation about 988. So 988 is sort of like it's the big one, the big hotline. It is still in effect.
Okay.
It is not being deleted or anything like that. What is being stripped is funding that is specific for the LGBTQ plus community. So the way that it's been set up is 988, anyone who calls, there's like an automated system you go through first as standard, like a little queue you have to go through. And basically they have like special population divisions. So it's populations that they know are higher risk populations for experiencing thoughts of suicide, attempting suicide, things like that. So they had like a little specialized unit where you could be connected to someone that was going to be gender affirming, an ally, and just feel more comfortable speaking with that person. That is the funding that's being cut. So it's not the 988 overall hotline. It's just the money that was going for that specific unit, which is still terrible, still awful, but we still do have 988 and anyone can still call it.
Right.
So make sure that you know that resource is out there that you can share with people. The Trevor Project is still also up and working. They rely on a variety of funding streams. So we'll be sure throughout the month, we'll be sharing some things just in our stories, through posts. So feel free to interact with it and share it out with your communities, as well as we are sharing those on our socials to celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah, I mean, mental health is, obviously we talk about it a lot on this podcast, but, I think that's one thing that we tend to sacrifice our mental health for our jobs. And maybe let's take some time this month to figure out like how we might be doing that, what might be affecting us being able to balance our mental health with our job and what that might look like. Are you spending way too many hours? Are you answering emails and texts in the middle of the night? Are you giving yourself boundaries? And if you don't have an outlet, well, maybe start doing that research to see what it takes to maybe find a peer support group or maybe a therapist of some sort, just taking those first little steps so that you're not going through it alone, right?
No, and you're so right. I know that was definitely something. I know I can't speak for you, Megan, but I know when we were in the thick of it, I know that I knew that my mental health was not in the greatest place, and I knew that it was getting bad. But I just kept answering emails at inappropriate times of day. I kept doing above and beyond things because I was constantly being told that I wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, if I do this, they'll see that I am committed.
Right.
And so, yeah, we shouldn't neglect our own mental health for the
Yep.
sake of a job.
Take those little steps this month.
Well, we have actually a really exciting show today. I think it's been a minute since we've had a guest on. So today we have a guest.
Hooray!
And this is someone that Megan and I actually have met out and about a few times, and we've supported her events on multiple occasions. It was kind of like an accidental collaboration. I mean, yeah, it was intentional, but just she and I have been in each other's network for a minute, but we had never really met in person. And then we met at an event randomly. Like, we both went to this event, met, and realized that we were both out there doing awesome things and wanted to talk about it. So she's really cool and she is involved in a lot of different things. But Coach Dee, who is a life coach, a model, an influencer, and most recently a CEO, is going to join us today to talk about her latest venture of creating a community called MascGentBosses. And she's going to tell us about what sort of brought that about and her experience. Join us in welcoming Coach Dee and her awesomeness.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm good.
So, I guess first, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are?
Yes, yes. Well, thank y'all for having me. I'm Coach D. I do a lot. I am an influencer, entrepreneur. I do a lot in the queer community, and I love it. I'm the CEO of Detox Life Coaching Services as a life coach. I'm also the CEO and founder of MascGentBosses, which is, our local LGBTQ community here, organization I've created that bridges the gap between masked lesbians, trans masked, and non-binary leaders, entrepreneurs, influencers, change makers, where we're able to just come together and show unity in that way. And I model. I have 3 books. I've written books. Like I said, I'm just an inspiration to the community as far as living out loud, living boldly, living courageously as you are. And so this is my movement is all about self-love and this is where we are, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit about me.
No, yeah. I was like, I need Coach D to tell us everything she does because I only hit some of it. I was like, she does a little bit of everything.
I own a salon. I am a co-owner of a salon here too.
Nice.
We have it's called Creative Beauty Salon Suites, and we lease out spaces to beauty professionals to help them expand their businesses and have a private space to grow. So that's pretty cool. I almost forgot. I said, I do so much. So
You need like a checklist.
Pretty soon you're gonna need like a list of everything. Like, what do I do?
everything.
Everything. Everything and then some. So I guess because Mask Jump Bosses is your one, at least as far as what I know, it is one of your newer ventures.
Mhm.
You've always had the community that you've been growing and building. So what was the inspiration in bringing that community now into Mask Jump Bosses?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for that. I think it's been me building myself, becoming that over time. As I've been coaching and building community and learning about myself and going out and making different connections, because I'm all about collaborations and community partnerships and community, period. And it really started in my modeling career. Like when I first started modeling like 2 years ago, I noticed that there were models that were masked lesbian and there were models that were trans and non-binary, but they still presented as masculine. And a lot of them were telling me, especially the trans masks, that they didn't feel like they had a space, period, not just for modeling, but like period, a platform, because so many people didn't take them seriously. And then sometimes I would hear the same thing with the lesbians, masked lesbians. And I'm like, wait a minute. I feel like I need to create a platform highlighting more of us that are actually doing things and that are out here living our truths unapologetically. So Christmas Eve of last year, I launched MascGentBosses. I kind of been softly working on it behind the scenes, but I just decided to just put it out there. And yeah, it's taken off. And it's 4 months old, but I feel like it's been growing in the making within me. And now I'm actually building community and bringing others in that identify, that are able to like bridge that gap and feel included, and it's really fun, and to showcase us. We're out here, and there's been a thing about us not getting along, not coming together, and so I wanted to be a trailblazer and showcase that.
I love
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, especially right now, there's just so much negativity out in the world, right? And so just bringing everybody in and just reminding everybody like, hey, there's a community for you. So what you do is pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how do you navigate or, work around the challenges and stereotypes around masculinity and leadership?
Oof.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Working around, I think it just comes down to, knowing yourself. Like, I think for me, it's just really me standing in my truth, knowing myself, being open to listening, but also like, redefining what masculinity really means for myself, period. And when I have these events where we're having these panels and these healing dialogues and we're talking about our experiences, it really just comes a lot of times masculinity. People say it's macho mucho, it's how you show up. I get that, but masculinity to me is more than that. You need the femininity as well to create. Masculinity is a part of us putting action in, following that instinct in us. It's more than just a style to me per se. And I've had these conversations, because we've heard about the toxic masculinity and all.
Mhm.
People even tell us, especially us that identify as lesbian, "Oh, you try to be masculine like men, you're trying to be a man." And then we're like, that's not what
Mhm.
we're trying to showcase. Now, the trans mass that identify as men, that's their lane. But even them are willing to have these conversations with me and say they still are tapping into more of their femininity as well to help soften, especially when you want to feel safe, when we talk about safety. Um,
Mhm.
and just having these spaces to be who you are. We all need that. And so I think when it comes down to the whole masculinity thing, it's just me standing in my truth and leading with that versus having someone tell me who I am based on an outer look, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does. Yeah, considering, I mean, like I said, it's always like this, you got to be either or, you got to be either or. And it's like it doesn't always have to be that way, right? It's fluid. It's,
It is
you
very
know, the big thing is that you're being yourself, and however that gives and takes. And you know what, you may have like a day where you're just like, you want to tap into your nurturing side, to your, like you said, the femininity side, something that in whatever your family needs or the people around you need and yourself,
mm,
right?
yeah,
So yeah, and I think that's the healthy part of it too, because it's pretty unhealthy just to kind of completely ignore either one, so yeah, so to have you like open that floor and just be like, hey, look, like this is an open room for everybody, like,
right.
and we're here to celebrate it.
It,
So
exactly.
yeah, no, I
Exactly.
love that.
My
Well,
point.
and I like that you kind of have been saying it was your own journey, even of like what it looks like to you, what does it mean to you? And then that's also kind of the community that you're building is what is it to this person over here or what is it to this person? And I think I had shared this with you, I think at one of the events we were at with you.
Mhm.
I had never really considered myself really anything. I was like,
I
I'm a
remember.
lesbian, like that's it. I hadn't really dove more into any kind of label beyond that. But
Uh-huh.
the more that I engaged with you and was hearing some of the people that were coming to your events and speaking, I was kind of like, I feel a little bit into this lane. I may not be like on the stereotypical side, but I feel like I identify as a mass lesbian, queer
Mhm.
woman. And so I think just in getting me personally getting to know you a little bit and hear some of the stories and all that, it's even helped me start thinking about my own identity even more and
Mhm.
explore that in myself and what does that look like for me personally.
Right,
So I
right.
appreciate the community that you're building. I'm here for it.
Right, right. I love it because it really is we are really experiencing an identity crisis out here, People are
Mhm.
feeling like Megan said earlier, we have to go one way or the other, but you can represent, but you can still embody those all
Yeah.
parts of you. You know, I think for me, it's the wholeness of who you are, however you decide to represent. You know, you may decide to represent, show up masculine one day or most of the time, and then you one day you want to show up, feminine. But even if I love too that I can show up masculine, but you can still feel my feminine side. I tap
Mhm.
into that. I tap into both. We're human. If you really,
Mhm.
Right,
regardless
yeah.
of how we dress, all of us embody those energies. I even talk to my, hetero counterparts about it. I talk
Mhm.
to when even my guy friends, I talk to them about femininity, give them
Yeah.
a different perspective, and they're like, wow, that's interesting because they even have this perspective that they have to be so masculine and so macho to where they can't
Mhm.
tap into the softer sides of them. And now I find myself giving them dating advice. So, like,
I
soften
think
up a little bit, bro. Maybe shoot
I think
faster.
for me, I feel like it's more in the lane that I am having them lean into it. It's more of, it's okay if you wanna cry.
I
Like,
know.
Mhm.
you're allowed to have that softer, vulnerable side to you. You don't always have to
Be so
walk
hard.
around without
Mhm.
any emotion. Yeah.
That's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Awesome. And that's actually what I'm creating, cultivating these spaces where we can safety, especially for the queer community.
Mhm.
I feel and are experiencing, and you all can tell me your thoughts too, but we're seeking safety, to just be who we are, how we are, and to just be heard, validated, and seen in that way. It's a beautiful thing when I am able to have these spaces and events and platforms, and I see someone that usually is not very emotional open up. That tells me, wow,
Mhm.
there's something about their nervous system or their inner child or that feels like this is okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so I'm here for it. Y'all,
I completely agree because, a lot of times you go into these places that may seem quote unquote safe or like may have like, they're like, yeah, your doors are open, but really it's the people that make it,
mm,
right? The people that are a part of that. Because there's been plenty of times that I go into a quote unquote safe place and I'm just like, I don't know if I can really like say what I want to here or say or be who I want to or bring the people that I want here because I don't know if they're going to be safe. And so, like my trans friends and so forth, it really just is the people that create the space, right?
mhm.
And so having those people there are just so important to saying, hey, it's okay. And secondly, like, like we said earlier, it's so exhausting to just be bottled up like that all the time. Whether it's like you just trying to be more masculine, you're like, hey, if I'm masculine, I just can't show any emotions. I can't give myself peace almost. It's like you always have to have your guard up all the time. But by having people that you can build trust with is just, I mean, it's priceless. It's
Mhm.
so hard right now to find people that you can just trust and be like, I can walk into the door and not have to second guess what might come out of my mouth. Or if I'm feeling a little vulnerable today, like how if I'm going to say something off, I can just come in here and almost like a spiritual detox.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like that's really what it means to be in a
Mhm.
safe space is like you can actually just like
yeah.
get it
Just
out.
free. Like I have trans friends too, and like just being able to have conversations with some of them, they've been telling me, it feels good to just be to say how I am around you. Like you're talking about packing and things like that. And I was like, educate me, please educate me. Like I'm more curious, which gives them this sense of like belonging of like, okay, well, she cares about me, and my identity,
Mhm.
what I'm going through. A lot of them have said things around certain people, like you said, and they've been judged, mistreated, and it's unfair, and it makes people feel closed. And I've even experienced that, growing up, being in a, black, heavily the black religious family, experienced a lot of religious trauma, and I lived my life bottled up for a long time, afraid to be who I was because of the conversations that I would hear around me about homosexuality. And
Yeah.
it was frightening, and so
Mhm.
it's like, man, and I think that's a part of my mission too in me is like, if I can keep creating these safe spaces where people don't have to feel like that, that's where the healing and the unconditional love comes in at. So it really matters.
No, and I think I'm curious, some of the conversations that you are having or some of the individuals that you might be, encouraging them and supporting them as they navigate their authentic selves in our state, in our current climate. I know that
She had
I
to bring it up.
even, well, and this applies even to the workspace because I have found even in myself, and I'm comfortable. I've been out kind of as a queer individual for years now, but
Mhm.
I find myself sometimes saying, "Do I need to adjust my appearance a little bit for safety reasons?
Man.
Like how can I be my authentic self and be who I know I am, but also make sure that I'm being safe and I'm not, I don't know, I've was talking to someone recently who kind of worded it too, like I don't want to draw attention to myself."
Mhm.
So I'm curious, what kind of conversations are you having?
I've heard that, especially from my trans friends that are shifting from male to female. That
Mhm.
has definitely been a thing with safety. I know for me, I used to feel like I gotta change. I'm just like you. I gotta change out clothes and things like that. I wouldn't necessarily say I felt unsafe, but I have had friends who have felt unsafe as far as like, are they gonna be something's gonna happen to them? I never
Mhm.
really thought about it much, but then I've had these conversations where things have happened to people,
Yeah.
attacks and all kinds of things, and it's just like, dang, I'm sorry that happened to you. But like you said, in the workplace and with family, I definitely can relate because I did that before. I used to adjust my appearance to certain environments I was going into. Being around my friends who dressed like me and teammates were different than when I was going around my family or when I was going into the workplace. And it was so suffocating.
It was.
I was
Yeah.
Mhm.
miserable. I was like, why am I doing this? But I hadn't broken free yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know. And my heart goes out to anyone that feels unsafe. My thing would be to get around positive people in a support system, a community of support
Mhm.
that appreciates you and celebrate you. It gives you more confidence to be yourself and not be so fearful of
Mhm.
things happening to you. Because I often think that what we feel strongly, we attract.
Mhm.
And if we're strongly stuck in fear and have a mindset that something's going to happen to us, sometimes it will. It's just the power of the mind, too. So
Mhm.
I think when we get in more safe spaces and around community that understands us, it gives us more confidence to think about the opposite, like I'm doing. Like, hey, we're here to fight. We're here to stand in our,
Mhm.
we're in unity. We're not afraid of anything, and we're doing it
Mhm.
unapologetically in love.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of energy to put out versus, being scared all the time. So,
No, for sure. When I think it too can help shift the perspective of other people, right? If they see that we're just a group of people who love each other and love ourselves,
that's it.
then they also kind of don't have a reason
It's like, what can you
to
do
come at us.
when there's
Yeah.
so much love coming at you and you just see people being themselves and they're being
Yeah.
happy? That really shifts the energy, like you said. It really does. Because it's
Mhm.
like, at
Mhm.
some point, what can you do? It's like,
If anything, they're the ones that just become
they're
uncomfortable, and
like,
you're like, okay, you
yeah,
go do you. I'm
yeah,
still gonna be having fun over here.
yeah, yeah.
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 They,
Yeah.
then they get quiet. 'Cause they're
Mhm.
uncomfortable.
Mhm.
We're no longer
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think there's
Right.
power in that too. Like it definitely puts power in the room and just shows like, hey, we're not afraid of you. Like we're here to just be ourselves and like simply having dinner. Like simply having dinner with each other or just going out and just doing things around town, cuz it's like at some point, we can't always be in a queer space,
Right.
like we got to go to the grocery store, we want to go out to dinner, all these different things. And but I think yeah, if you bring in that confidence and that power to the room, I think people just leave you alone. You're just
Yeah,
like, well,
they do. They do.
mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
get around those friends, like you said, who celebrate you.
Yep.
Builds your confidence too. So if you have more of those connections, even when you do go out to the store or to the movies or out to eat, you're like, hey, I'm good. And I'm good.
Mhm.
Mhm.
'Cause I know I got people that love me for me, and these other people are just they're projecting. They're
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
you know.
So I know a lot of the work that you do and the communities that you're building. I know that the core, and you said this earlier, the core theme, the core message is this idea of self-love,
Yeah.
living your authentic self. And Megan and I were actually just talking about, we're in May now, so it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Have you seen any sort of positive, um, or I'm trying to think the word I'm thinking of, just like positive, like a reward almost in the community that you've been growing by encouraging people to just love themselves, that it's also improved their overall mental well-being?
Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing that people are starting to feel better. They're collaborating. It's interesting. Like when we had the MascGentBosses, the first brunch here in Dallas in back in March, and I had it was like 10 of them came from out of states, different states, and came to support. And just to have that weekend of us being together, hanging out, just connecting and having a good time, but also empowering each other and learning. And then, we're all connected on social media too. So to see also
Mm-hmm.
that, because we talked about mental health, we talked about all of that self love. I love to have healing conversations wherever I am. I have fun.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, every conversation will turn into a moment of inspiration, but that's beautiful. We need that.
Mm-hmm.
It being able to see a lot of them have collaborated and they're connecting and they're doing things together. I was like, wow, this is dope. Like, and then they're reaching out to me and was like, thanks, coach, for this community. I've met so and so through this. Like, I'm feeling better. I had one person that's a content creator that was going through like a depression before she came, and she came, got empowered, got back in her energy. Her modeling career is taken off. It's really taken off. And so just to see that you had support, you had that mentorship, you had that community, and you found your people in a way and found yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And to see her rising, that's everything to me. That shows me that there's healing here. That's
Mm-hmm.
because you hear about the negative things, you hear about the all kinds of things we go through with the mental health
Yeah.
illnesses, and we hear about that all the time. But this is where I feel like community comes in at, and this is where I feel
Mm-hmm.
like also having those tools to know what to do to self-love and to take care of your mental health, it matters too. So I've been seeing more positive from my perspective. Of course, we're still dealing with the climate
Mm-hmm.
of the world right
Mm-hmm.
now, but seeing just from my perspective of the community and just paying attention to other things that are happening, I'm seeing a shift happening. It
Yeah.
may take us a while, but we're shifting, and that makes me proud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
That's awesome. So, do you like to collaborate with, like, what other groups are you collaborating with right now? Like, as we go into Pride Month, right? Do you have anything setting up for Pride, or ways that like people can get in touch with your group? And
Yeah.
that would be awesome to hear.
I have so many people that I collaborate with or come to me. And what's beautiful is I spent a lot of last year, I say in the air, because I was traveling a lot. But I feel like intentionally I was traveling to different places because I was building connections with other communities in other states, Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
Cali, Phoenix. I was pretty much everywhere, just building connections. And
Mm-hmm.
no idea that when I came back, this year would be about building up Dallas. So just here in Dallas alone, I've made some great connections. Of course, I'm the influencer with the Resource Center. I think we talked about that, Maddie. That happened last year. I recently became an ambassador for Black Tie Dinner. Uh,
I saw
Nice.
that
That is so
today.
cool.
I was like, dang.
yeah, they hit that. That's pretty amazing. Getting an award out here for my community work has
Heck yeah.
then there's other communities here or people organizers that are reaching out to me now. So it's like, okay, let's see. So, but I'm very
Yeah.
intentional. Even you all, I'm intentional with everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
I made a connection with the Dallas Wings. That's why we're going to the game.
Mm-hmm.
You all are
Which
coming.
I'm
give us
excited.
give us a little plug, Coach D, because Megan and I want to plug it as well. So tell us about the Dallas Wings collaboration.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna be collabing with them. We got a whole section. June 8th is Pride Day. They every year they do a Pride Day, and
Mm-hmm.
I got connected with them, and then ended up getting connected with their community engagement guy that does the whole group experiences, and talked to them about my community and what I wanted to do. And so he was like, I think you should do Pride Day, and I said that's perfect. Right now, because we reserved 50 seats, and I believe we have, like, 5 or 6 seats left, and
Oh,
I literally just promoted this, like, what, last week? It hasn't even been a
Yeah.
full week yet.
hmm
So Megan and I will be there. We jumped as soon as I saw you post, I texted Megan and was like, if we're gonna go, we gotta jump on it because these seats are gonna go fast.
she didn't even ask me, "Do you have the money?" She's like, "You got to send me the money now."
It'll be a whole thing. I've connected with the general manager at a lounge out here called Double D's. That's a Black-owned space, and, of course, Sue
Mhm.
Ellen's. I've
Okay.
partnered with them again.
Mhm.
So we're supposed to be doing our after party, after the games party at Sue Ellen's. You know, just trying to find ways to bring the community together and do different things together is truly what I'm about. I think for me, it's been
Mhm.
let's support our women's sports and athletes, and
Absolutely.
many of them were queer, and
hmm
you don't always get the same support that men's sports get, especially basketball. If you see the NBA versus WNBA, it's like it's changing. We see that shift, but all of us doing this, it's bigger than us. It's
Right.
it's supporting the collective, especially our community. So I'm pretty
Mhm.
excited about it. I'm excited for us all to get together and hang out, and
No, yeah, it's gonna be a fun time.
hmm
yeah,
Um,
I'm excited.
any listeners that, maybe you don't get some of those last minute tickets from Coach D's group, but if you are gonna be at the Pride game for the Dallas Wings, make sure that you
You see
give
us,
us a little shout out. You see us, wave to us, we'll wave back
yeah,
because we will all be there having a good time.
we were all having a good time. Yeah.
You can find Mask Gent Bosses
Mhm. On
on Instagram. You can just honestly type in Mask Gent Bosses and it pops right up.
Mhm, mhm.
And you can find the whole community that way because, you interact with that community and then you'll get to meet other people who are following them. And maybe it's the community that you've been looking for.
Mhm. It's so beautiful. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys do, you are part of a lot of really great conversations that I think are needed. You're really just opening the door for a lot of people to feel comfortable sharing their story.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up cuz we are just having such a good time,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if you had any sort of words of wisdom or some tips for perhaps any of our listeners out there who haven't quite found their community yet, but they are searching for it. Any words of wisdom you want to impart to them?
Yeah, of course. I would first say heal. Of course, I was gonna say heal that shit because that's my thing. That's my thing. But no, my words of wisdom would be to, yeah, continue to go within yourself, learn yourself, like find out who you are, and then find. I tell people do research, like yeah, get in therapy and all that. But as far as the community, start locally. Locally is the new is global for me. Find different things and different things that may be going on that pique your interest. Start there. I think a lot of us are afraid to get out, whether it is in person or virtually. Start seeking things. Whatever you're feeling, go research that. Well, I'm feeling like I'm representing as this. Okay, well, go see if there's any communities that align with that. Or just say, shits and giggles, you may be into yoga. Well, go search for some yoga group. Find ways to connect with people that share the same interest as you. Start there. And I think as you start to navigate those different spaces, you will find yourself through that, and you'll find your community. And that's something that definitely happened for me, because I had to like navigate myself out of a very religious space into
Yeah.
now who I am. But I had to go on that journey. I knew I had to get out of that environment. One thing I like to say is you can't heal in the same environment that you got sick in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So sometimes you
Absolutely.
have to shift it up, shift it up. Don't be afraid to go connect, because what you're seeking is also seeking you. So put
Mhm.
yourself out there. But yeah, just start there. Start learning more about you and your own interest, and then going and researching, where can I find these things? And I
hmm
Mhm.
guarantee you'll start aligning with your people.
No, I
Yes.
love that. I think you're so right. Finding your people
Find
will
your
help you
people
find yourself, I think.
Yeah, as you find yourself, you'll
Mm.
find your people.
and start with MascGentBosses. Bosses.
Wow.
Thank you, Coach D, for joining us, finding time in your busy schedule to chat with us.
Yeah, no.
You're doing fantastic work in the DFW area. We are here for it. Keep doing awesome stuff, and we'll see you Pride Night for the wings.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. Thank y'all too so much.
Thank you, Coach Dee. It was fun.
All right, it was
All
fun.
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Coach Dee is always super fun. Just
I'm
her
excited.
energy.
I'm excited for the basketball game. I'm
I
excited
know.
for Pride Month. I wish I could just take off the whole month so I could just do stuff for Pride all month.
I know.
That would be
It's
the best.
speaking of Pride. We'll be at Dallas Pride this year. You can find us on Saturday. We will have a table. We'll be there all day having fun. We'll have some goodies that we'll be giving out.
Some goodies. Don't forget to follow us on socials and really any podcast app, your favorite podcast app. We will be on there. We do have Patreon. We uploaded a fun game to understand Maddie and I's personalities in the workplace and maybe kind of figure out yours as well. We'd love your support there. Give us some likes, give us some subscribes, and don't forget to hit the notification so you know when we get our episodes every other Wednesday.
Absolutely. So, yeah, make sure that you like and subscribe and share. We always love new listeners checking us out, joining us for their coffee break. So, be sure you share it with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we had a great chat today. So, thanks for joining us for another great episode of Not a Lonely Coffee Break. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Megan.
Cheers,
Cheers,
queer.
queer.